Probably we should use the Super platform or ChatQLM for optimizing seating space, in CES, so people don't have to stand. But well, thank you so much for being here and the overwhelming response. And sorry, we have only limited seating, and some of you have to stand through this. So I'll try to be quick. I won't take too much of the time with presentation because I want to open the floor for questions. That's what I would like to do. So since we are already at capacity, let's get going. Quantum has a long history. We have been talking about quantum since the 80s and trying to build quantum machines since the 90s. In March, DWeb came out with their quantum supremacy paper, showing that there are practical problems that you can solve with quantum which you cannot solve on supercomputers. Even throwing all the supercompute in the world will not do the job. You can talk all you like, you can do all the work in the lab, but until it is in the hands of people, it doesn't become tangible. What we're building is the gateway to adoption and use of quantum. We have built the super platform, the ChatGPT of quantum and supercomputing. We like to use the term supercomputing to describe what we do. We leverage classical CPU-based and GPU-based computing and combine it with various quantum computing architectures to deliver commercial value. Is the goal to get a solution fast? Or is the goal to get the best possible solution? And there's a trade-off between the optimal. Based on the decision parameters, we come up with the optimal trade-off and we execute. You get the results, and then you should package the results in a way that they can be consumed by an everyday user. Someone who doesn't have a computer science or physics PhD. On top of it, it is a chat-based interface. And this is why we call it the ChatGPT of quantum and supercomputing. Our platform is powered by a combination of GPUs, CPUs, and QPUs. What it does, it takes a problem, it breaks it down, it tries to figure out how to use one of these stacks or a combination of these stacks to best solve the problem most efficiently. And then the rest of it, building the solution, deploying the solution, getting results, is all taken care of by Super. Okay, so with that little bit of a preamble, I would like to welcome you to the session. The video you just saw was about our super platform, and today we will be mostly talking about ChatQLM. So super is the B2B enterprise-focused, researcher-focused platform that we have, and ChatQLM is the consumer app that we are releasing at CES. It's already released, so it's available, and I'll talk about it, how to access it, how you can use it. But let me get into the presentation. I'll keep it short and try to leave ample room for questions. So a little bit about me. My name is Mohammed Khan. I'm founder, CEO, and board chair of SuperQ Quantum. SuperQ is a publicly traded company. We are listed on Canadian Securities Exchange, on OTC in the US, and on Frankfurt Exchange. As SuperQ, we're a young company because we went public in July of last year, but there is a track record. If you look at the SuperQ team and our history in quantum and supercomputing, there is a 4-year track record of us working in the industry. So maybe I'll start with that to give you some backgrounds for those who are not as familiar with SuperQ. The story starts from Stack, which is the parent company of SuperQ. It's a private company based in Calgary, Dubai, and San Francisco. Works in the high-performance computing space. And about 4 years ago, we started bringing quantum computing into our solutions. So that led to a series of R&D and developments that catalyzed the creation of SuperQ Quantum. And then that company went public last year in July. So that's a little bit of a background on us. So let's start with Super. So our main technology, which is commercialized today, is the Super platform. Super inherently is an autonomous solution builder. It consumes information in natural language. You can be technical if you want, if you can put equations in it or formulas or code in it, but primarily it doesn't require that. You give it a PDF or a presentation, describe your problem to it, or start typing away. It then analyzes the problem. It helps you refine the problem because, garbage in, garbage out. So making sure that it fully understands the problem is very important. It does that. And then after that, it tries to figure out how to solve the problem. It creates an architecture using a combination of classical and quantum computing hardware, optimization solvers, annealers, and whatnot, and figures out what is the best way of attacking the problem. It then presents different approaches to the user. Once the user selects an approach, it builds, deploys, gets the solution, and then packages it in a form that the end user can understand. So interpretation is also very important. It's not just that we provide access to quantum computing. Building the solution, getting the results, and then interpreting those results is very important. And that's what we provide end to end. In terms of the technology, we are a layer on top of the world's best quantum and classical hardware. So we leverage NVIDIA, and we have a relationship with them. We leverage D-Waves and annealers. We have a strong relationship with them. And then IonQ, QEra, and that list is growing. We have other quantum vendors that are plugging into Super pretty soon as well. But in addition to that, I really want to emphasize the classical component of the platform. A lot of the work is done on optimization solvers. The likes of Gurobi and Cplex, they're very, very important in the whole picture. And our proprietary secret sauce is how we combine them. How we can break a problem down into components, use whatever we need to use to solve those components, and then put the results back. So with us, you get the full power of these technologies. So that's about Super. So Super is enterprise focused and researcher focused, but ultimately it is also a chat-based interface. It has been commercialized fully since September. So the early release was in July or actually in June at the Web Summit. And then the full release was at the Quantum Week, IEEE Quantum Week during September. So we have government departments using it, we have enterprises using it, particularly for supply chain, logistics, transportation type use cases. We have researchers using it for chemical synthesis applications, for drug-related applications, and in some cases for enhancing AI models. So it's already out there. But what we're doing today, and what we're doing at CES, is putting the same power in the consumer's hand. So creating a B2C solution, which everyone can leverage. So this is truly the ChatGPT moment for quantum and supercomputing. An important inflection point, hopefully, in the life cycle of these technologies. So just like before ChatGPT, AI was still being used quite heavily in the enterprises and in the industry and in the research as well. But it didn't become mainstream, or it wasn't in the hands of every user. There was a barrier. There was a technical barrier, there was a financial barrier to using AI. And that barrier wasn't removed until ChatGPT provided a natural language interface and an accessible, cheaply accessible technology that people could use. And once that happened, users came up with innovative ways of using that technology, and that molded the direction of all the LLM providers and generative AI. We are hoping to do the same for quantum and supercomputing. Putting it in the hands of everyone, getting feedback, and then iterating over it to create more and more utility for consumers. Okay, so of course the question is going to be what is that utility? Like what can an average user get out of ChatQLM? So let's dive into it. So number one, everything you get with ChatGPT, you can get in ChatQLM as well. So the power of AI is there. In that sense, it's a superset of what you get with AI applications. Okay, so the application is available as a web app. It is also available as a mobile app. It is listed on Google Play Store, not on App Store yet. It's going to come soon on App Store. But I would recommend using the web version for now, because that's the one with all the bug fixes and the new features. The app stores take some time to update. Okay, but what you're seeing in this slide is just an AI interaction. You want to generate content, you want to generate a report, you want to perform some analysis, like what are the top 5 stocks I should be thinking of investing in 2026, something like that you would ask ChatGPT. You can do that here as well. And AI models are really good at content generation. They are also really good at qualitative analysis. So even if you do it in ChatQLM, you will be interacting with some AI model to achieve that. Now, where AI falls short is quantitative decision making. So if you ask AI top 5 stocks, yeah, it will tell you. If you ask AI, how do I optimize my returns in stock investment over 5 years? That is a question AI will struggle with, because it doesn't do well with quantitative modeling and decision making. That is the gap that we are plugging. You can ask AI to plan your itinerary for a trip to Vegas, but if you're going to 10 different cities and 5 locations in each city, and you have a month to cover all of that, how do you optimize your itinerary? How do you reduce cost? Or how do you save time? That's a decision you cannot make through AI. That's a decision which has a lot of quantitative variables involved, and that's where we come in. So what does ChatQLM do? Budgeting, investments, scheduling, traveling, business operations, anything quantitative, where you want some direct support, like what should I do? Who should I assign this job to? Which city should I go to first? When should I invest in which stock, and when should I pull out my money? How should I allocate budgets? All of these are fair game for ChatQLM. Okay, so again, the idea is that you don't see the complexity, you don't see the equations or the code that is behind it. If you want to see it, you can, but you don't have to. You focus on describing your problem. And for many of them, ChatQLM already has a template. So for resource allocation, budget allocation, scheduling, routing, it has templates, which it will use. It will straight away direct you to those and say that, yeah, let's input give your inputs, we will solve it. If it doesn't have a template, it will build one. So you start talking about a problem that it doesn't have a set workflow for, it will build for you, and it will give it to you, okay? And then it will figure out which conversations should go to AI, which conversations should go to optimization solvers, which conversations should go to quantum computers, how everything should be solved, and how should you get the results, including a visualization. And this visualization is generated on the fly, because each problem is different. The way you give it a problem is going to be different, your parameters are going to be different from another user. So these visualizations are generated on the fly in the app. Okay, so this is what we bring in addition to the AI capability that you have today. Now there are a good number of you who would be interested in the technical side of things. Like you want to build quantum circuits and run quantum circuits, or maybe you want to code Shor's algorithm and break the internet security and become a billionaire, right? So you can learn and experiment with quantum directly if you want. You can build circuits. You can run circuits on quantum simulators, on quantum hardware. You have a selection of hardware to choose from. You can code Shor's algorithm. You can code Grover search, and more algorithms will be implemented in ChatQLM. Or you can just tell it something you want to do, like you tell it what you want, and it will help you build it. So there is a technical aspect as well, including learning resources and latest news in the quantum sector. So our hope is that this becomes not just a problem-solving app, but also a community app, where the whole quantum community can mobilize and work together and learn as a collective. Yeah, this one shows the Shores algorithm, how Shores is implemented. Shores is actually, there's a shortcut. You press the button and you can try factoring integers. Don't try too big ones. I mean, we're still getting there, but decent size integers you can factor using ChatQLM. And more is coming. So this particular example is not in the app right now, but it will soon be. And this is a routing example. So suppose you're planning a trip through the East Coast, Baltimore, Washington, Delaware, New York City, Boston, all of that. And you want to figure out what time of day, which day you should leave, what time of day you should leave, where should you go first. You have your own parameters. You want to spend an hour in New York, 2 hours in Washington, whatever those parameters are. You give those to the app, and it figures out a solution. And exactly which time of day, when, how you go from place A to place B, and so on. This is a key need that I encountered myself, and we have seen this many times when we are planning trips. So this is the next template that will be coming to ChatQLM, and there are many more that are coming. Okay. And then, of course, we rely heavily on your feedback to determine what would be the next use cases that we bring to it. You are, of course, welcome to describe any use case through chat, and it will figure out if it can solve it, or it will direct you to the right solution, to the super platform or to our professional services team. But we want to build more and more of these ready-made workflows that are particularly targeting a specialized problem. In this case, trip planning, multi-destination trip planning. It is cheap to get your hands on this. You can download free, start using it. You get a generous amount of AI tokens and some compute on the optimization side for free. And then after that, there is a $20 tier, $80 tier, $200 tier. Each comes with its own compute credits, and they are clearly described what you get at each level. The reason why we are able to do it so cheaply is when you're interfacing with quantum computers, bulk of the work is still done on classical devices. It is done on CPUs and GPUs. Maybe 10% of the work is done on quantum computers. 90% is still done on classical hardware. So we're able to leverage and combine these in a way that we keep the quantum hardware costs fairly low while creating the same utility. If you work with a quantum company directly, at a consumer level you cannot, but even at a business level, if you work with a quantum hardware company, they would of course want to solve all the problems on their hardware, because ultimately they are selling their hardware. We don't have that constraint. We try to come up with the best possible solution. And that solution may not require quantum. It may be a purely classical solution. Or it may require some quantum. So whatever that is, the system comes up with it and implements it. So that's why it's very accessible. The cost is, we've kept it fairly low, and basically it's the same cost as you would for an AI app, like ChatGPT and ChatGPT Pro, same cost. So as I said, it's available as a web app. It's also available as a mobile app on the App Store. But what I would recommend is just scan the QR code, go to the website, start using it as a web app. And this discount code gives you 1 month at a paid tier level. So you'll get a generous amount of compute. And if you need more, just message us. We'll give you more. As our first users, we would like to give you as much opportunity as we can to use and provide feedback. So that's our goal. That's the whole purpose why we are doing it at CES, putting it in as many hands as possible. And if you haven't scanned the QR code, just go to chatqlm.com and go to downloads, and you'll have access. Just make sure you remember the access code or take a screenshot of that. So we have more activities at at CES. So if you have follow-up questions, of course, I'm going to be available after this presentation to answer questions, and I'm going to stay back for a bit as well. But we have a booth. We are in the Foundry, right next door, in FT13. So that's the booth at the end of the room, right beside D-Wave. So come have a conversation. Our technical team is there. Our professional services team is there as well. So you can have conversations about consumer side as well as the business side of things or research side of things. There are some in-booth events that will be happening that will talk about some specifics, like how does Super Platform work? We didn't talk about Super that much today, so feel free to join those events as well. And with that, I want to open the floor for questions, because ultimately my goal is to put it in your hands and get your feedback, and then we iterate over it. Okay.